You're listening to The Supreme Show with who? Me, Supreme, aka Big G, the brother with the platinum voice that'll put you to sleep. So listen, like, and subscribe.
What up,
and
what up? It's
don't
your
forget
boy,
to drop
Kareem
a comment.
Supreme.
Peace.
Peace, party people. Want to talk about the 25-year anniversary of Tales from the Hood. Y'all remember Tales from the Hood? Well, it came out 25 years ago. I want to break this movie down and talk about the subliminal messages that was in the movie. This movie was based on a bunch of different segments, and it had a bunch of unfamiliar actors in it at the time. When it first came out, a lot of these actors I had never heard of before, except for Clarence Williams, who played Mr. Sims. He was the gatekeeper or the mortician or whatever you want to call it. Joe Torre was in this movie, DeAndre Bonds and Samuel Monroe Jr. A lot of them went on to be superstars. Joe Torre was he was already a superstar at this. He was already a star at this time, but he went on to do even bigger things, even bigger projects after this. But when they first got to the mortuary or funeral home or whatever that was, they were already dead. But we just didn't know it until the end of the film. But in the beginning, they were already dead. So supposedly they were looking for the shit. They were looking for some products, you know. And all throughout the whole movie, they kept bringing up the shit. And the gatekeeper, Mr. Sims, would be like, "Oh, the shit," all throughout the whole movie. And at the end, they really was knee deep in shit. It was up shit creek. But I want to break down the segments and the subliminal messages behind the segments. The first segment was called Road Cop Revelation. It was about a young black police officer who just started out. He was a rookie cop, and on a routine traffic stop, some white police officers had stopped a black rights activist, and it was a case of police brutality. Now, before I go any further, this movie was how should I say it? It was hidden for a long time. Like, you couldn't find it on DVD for a long time. I'm talking about years. It just recently made its way to Blu-ray within the last 6 months to a year. But for the last 17, 18 years, you couldn't find this on DVD. And the reason why is because certain movies, they don't want this generation of black people to see. You know, because like I said with the movie Panther, it's one of those movies that will boost the revolutionary fervor in African Americans, and you know who controls the media, and they don't want us to be passionate about a drastic change within our community. They don't want us to uprise, so they hide movies like this or make it unavailable for us. Now, in the first segment, Road Cop, the rookie black officer, like I said, he observed police brutality, and he didn't do anything about it. It wasn't too much he could have done, but he just didn't try to do anything about it. And the police officers killed the black man during the traffic stop, and the black man came back to haunt all of them. He died and came back to haunt all of them. And he killed the police officers, and he went after the black rookie police officer and was like, "Why wasn't you there for me?" You know, that goes to show a lot of black people on the police force act like this. You know, that was a subliminal message to how the black cops act in each city, in each state, who are on the police force. You know, they see a lot of crimes like that happen. They see all these bad white cops, you know, doing negative things to black people, you know, and they don't do anything about it. It's like, you know, they turn the other cheek. You know, you know, within the last 10 years, police brutality has been on the rise. Not like it went down, but you know, I mean, the killings of unarmed black men has boosted. You know, I would say it's at an all-time high. It feel like it, but there's a lot of black people on the police force in all these different states, and you don't really hear them saying anything about it. You know what I mean? They don't do anything about it. So that's what that segment was about. So at the end of that segment, check this out. At the end of the segment, the black rookie cop ends up being in a insane asylum. He was tied up in a straitjacket, and at the end they was like, "What did he do?" And they was like, "He killed a cop, 2 of them in one night." So at the end, the plot twisted, and it showed that he killed those 2 white cops, and not the black civil rights activists that the police killed. You know what I mean? Turns out the plot twisted, and it turns out that the black rookie cop killed those cops. You know, it was a good movie. It was a thriller and a chiller. So that's one of the reasons why they try to make this unavailable, because they don't want black cops on the police force to have that type of mentality. You know, and they don't want it instilled in the younger generation of African Americans who might grow up to work for the police force. You know, and you know these Edomites monitor our media closely. They got our media under a microscope, especially the directors and writers in Hollywood. Certain things they'll let fly that fits their agenda, they'll let it fly if it fits their agenda. But if it fits our agenda, forget it. They always got to find a way to whitewash it or water it down, make it politically correct, which just politically correct just mean watered down truth. You know, they don't want anything raw or anything uncut for us to see. The next one was called Boys Do Get Bruised. It was about Brandon Hammond, the guy who played it, the young boy who played in Soul Food, and he played in a bunch of other good movies, and he went on to be I wouldn't say superstar, but he went on to be a big star. It's been a while since I heard from him, but anyway, he played Walter, and he was drawing fucked up pictures of people. David Allen Greer was in here. David Allen Greer was his stepfather, and Walter would draw these pictures that would come to life. Now this one was a little bit I wouldn't say animated, but it was a little comical. You know, it wasn't really that many subliminal messages in this segment, but it was kind of funny. It was supposed to be scary, but to me it was funny. He would draw pictures of people he didn't like and ball up the paper. But he'll ball up the paper, and the person who he drew a picture of will die. Like, he had problems with a class bully, a schoolyard bully. He drew a picture of him, and he fell down some stairs, broke his arms, broke his legs. So then he drew a picture of his stepfather, and it messed him up. And then they burnt it instead of tossing it in the trash, and so it set David Allen Greer on fire. And it was kind of weak, because David Allen Greer, when they first balled up the paper, he fell and broke all his bones in the kitchen. And then when they burnt the paper, it's like he burned up, but the house didn't burn down. You know what I mean? And then Walter's teacher ended up falling in love with his mother, and you know, it was all right. I wouldn't say it was whack, but it was, you know, it was kind of comical. It was kind of funny, you know. I guess they had that in there. I guess they had that segment in there to get you ready for the next one. As I talk more about this movie, it takes me back to the fall of 1995. Even though this movie came out in the spring, I didn't see it until the late summer, early fall. I saw it on bootleg. Matter of fact, this was the first bootleg VHS I ever had. I remember it had 2 movies on it. It had Tales from the Hood and it had Friday on it. And the quality wasn't that great, but me and my little brother, we watched it over and over and over and over again. Like, you could hardly see the people. The audio was understandable. The audio was clear, but the visual was all messed up. Now the next one was called the next segment was called KKK Commie Ponts. Whatever that means. KKK stands for the Ku Klux Klan, and Commie Ponts is spelled COMEUPPANCE. It was about an obnoxious, racist Southern senator. He was a former member of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was taking over this former plantation, which was it was a slave plantation that had a dollhouse in it. As a matter of fact, the slave plantation was based on the story of the Myrtles plantation in St. Francisville, Louisiana. So part of this is true, and it's still haunted to this day. It was funny because in this movie, the dolls started to reappear, and they was attacking the former white Ku Klux Klan member. And he kept saying, "You little nigglets." At first, he didn't believe it, and he proceeded to normal operations. And those dolls, those little nigglets, was following them all over the place. It was funny. That became the catchphrase in the mid-90s. "You little nigglets." It was funny as hell. There was a black guy in this movie. I forgot his name. The black actor, the one that said, "We want reparations, reparations." He played in a lot of good movies too. I think his name was Art Evans. Art Evans, yeah, I think that is his name. And of course, like they all do, they don't believe in paying black people reparations. Reparations for what? We were often exploited, still exploited, underpaid, overworked. That's the American way, I guess. After this, it was funny because in between segments, the dealers who came looking for the shit, they was growing impatient. I forgot to mention that. They was growing impatient. And they kept on pressing Mr. Sims about the shit. And he kept on saying, "Oh, the shit. You're going to get the shit." Now, the next one was another segment that had a subliminal. It had a bunch of subliminal messages. The hardcore convert. It was the last one with Crazy K. He was going around. He was a gang member going around just spraying people. Just killing black people. And he was in an imaginary penitentiary, like a study lab or something. They were experimenting on him, and they put him in a cell next to a Nazi member or a KKK member or whatever the white guy was, and he says something that was bone chilling. The white guy, he said, we want to rid niggers off the face of this earth. We don't even have to do it anymore. He said, guys like you, gang members like you, are killing your own people. You're doing the job for us, which is true. Black on black crime. When you kill another brother or another sister, you contributing to your own demise. The white guy was right. They ain't got to do it no more. I mean, they still doing it, but not as much as they used to in slavery. You know what I mean? Or during the Jim Crow era. shit, we killing each other. We're the victims of our own demise. You know what I mean? And it's a reason behind all that. And it's white supremacy. You say, why white supremacy? What that got to do with anything? Well, I'm going to tell you. Who put the drugs and the guns in our communities? You know, who put all the liquor stores in the black community? It's like three liquor stores in my neighborhood right now, within walking distance of my house. I don't drink at all, but you know, it's been like that for years. It was more liquor stores when I was little. Malcolm X said they put liquor stores in the black neighborhoods to pacify us, to keep us down, to keep us from thinking. You know, liquor impairs your thinking. But in the 60s and 70s, they had to come up with a new way. So, you know, they put heroin on the streets in the 70s. You know, that didn't really work. It kind of fucked up Harlem and Chicago, all the major cities, but it didn't do enough damage because not a lot of black people like needles. But a lot of people got hooked on heroin in the 60s and 70s and beyond. Even in the 50s, they was getting hooked on heroin. But, you know, heroin wasn't killing them fast enough. It was just making people super addictive. Yeah, it was, people was overdosing, but not like this crack shit that they put out in the 80s. When they put that crack shit out, man, that kind of, I shouldn't say kind of, that messed up like 2 generations. A lot of people didn't bounce back from that crack. You know, it broke the trust bond between family members and friends. You know, we started not trusting each other. You couldn't rely on your neighbor anymore. You couldn't honor your neighbor. As soon as we suspect somebody smoking, as soon as we suspect somebody smoking crack, we automatically don't fuck with them. Or if we hear somebody smoking, we don't want to fuck with them. Nowadays, you can just look at somebody and tell that they smoke crack. When the government came up with that, or the CIA, UCLA, they say a UCLA professor came up with it, named Robert K. Siegel. He came up with the recipe for crack cocaine at UCLA. You don't believe me, you can look it up. I believe he's dead now. He died recently. But that messed up the black community. And I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be talking about Tales from the Hood. But back to the segment. They ran this experiment on Crazy K. And like I said, the white KKK member, he was telling them the truth. You know, and then they did something to his mind. They reprogrammed his mind and made it possible for him to revisit all the people he killed. And a lot of them was like, yo, man, that wasn't me that snitched on you. I didn't do that, or I didn't steal this, but you killed me. You shot me in the head. And then it was this little girl that said, well, I didn't do anything. I was just in my bedroom playing, and a straight bullet came from your gun into my room, hit me, and killed me. And Crazy K said, well, I'm sorry, sweetheart. You was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know? And come to find out, it was all a dream for Crazy K. He woke up in a cell in an insane asylum. Talk about something, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. And come to find out, the 3 dudes that was looking for the shit, that was harassing Mr. Sims for the shit, those 3 dudes killed Crazy K. And while they were at the funeral home, a couple of Crazy K boys came and killed those 3 dudes. The reason why they was at that funeral home was to view their own bodies. Remember, they opened up the caskets at the end and saw themselves in it. And Mr. Sims said, "This is hell." Great movie. They don't make movies like that anymore. Now movies are filled with agendas to brainwash African Americans. I say this all the time, but I would like to hear y'all feedback. I might have missed something. I might have left out something. Or y'all might disagree with something. I'm always open for discussion. So drop a comment, hit a like. Let me know what's up. Peace.